location so I could do the pitch
Okay.
and not drive while pitching. So great to meet you.
Yeah. So where are you right now? In Tampa?
I'm in Long Island. I live in New York.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're in New York. I was going to say, wait a minute. That jacket doesn't look like.
Oh yeah, it's cold out. It's cold out here these days. It's
yeah.
It's getting cold now. Yeah.
You're in the city itself. Yeah.
No. I lived in the city for a while, but I live in Long Island now.
Oh, on Long Island. Yeah.
Had a couple kids, needed some more space, and moved out to Long Island.
Yeah. So I met your dad, Kevin, and I didn't really know what to expect, and obviously he's been at what he does for a long time. Makes you feel totally comfortable. Mm-hmm. Very easy guy to talk to. It was actually kind of cool that I don't get me wrong, but I've met investors and VCs over the years, and some of them are not the nicest people you'll ever meet. So, but some of them are, fortunately.
Listen, there's good and bad people in every industry.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
By the way, your screen just went green. There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's better. Okay. Okay. So do you need to go in and then just come back to the?
No. I'm good. I'm good right here.
Okay.
Because like I said, I got here early so I could do this, so I don't have to be driving.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yep.
So do you want me to give you the?
Let's hear it. So you know all about pitch. You know all about Pitch Investors Live. You know how it works.
Yeah.
So you and I are live one-on-one right now, but the whole world could be watching us. So let's hear the pitch.
Yeah.
Let's hear what you got.
So if you think about the digital age and the internet, one of the biggest problems that remains unresolved is how do individuals and groups of people combine pieces of information from multiple online documents and sources to produce something of value or to create something new, solve a difficult problem, write a report, write a paper that has the insights that go beyond the information. And actually, after the 90s, there was a whole new area of research and reading, which is multi-document sense-making. And if you look at the technology landscape, despite all of the efforts with machine intelligence and artificial intelligence and online collaboration systems and annotation systems, nobody has come up with a good technology to facilitate that process of combining information to create something new. There's lots of stuff for upstream. Oh, we got a draft of a paper. Will you we use a zero, et cetera, et cetera. But what about the upstream work where you have to actually read many documents and pull out the important stuff? So what we've developed is the first in class, what we call a thought processor. And it enables social reading for sense making. And here's really quickly, and I'm almost done just describing a scenario. You read a bunch of documents. Like I did a paper where I read 75 research articles. I marked up what I thought were the important sections of text, highlighted, wrote comments. So that's nice, annotation system. And then I went through those documents and I can just simply point at each one of the highlights and comments and say, copy to the mashup. And it moves that snippet in my comment to the right margin of a screen. This is all web-based. And so I end up going through these 75 documents and I end up with 250 snippets. And I have an instantaneous link back to each snippet in my comment in context. So I'm able to review everything that I thought was important instantaneously. At the same time, without going into the details, I have provisions for rearranging those snippets into an order that has a narrative structure. And then I'm able to use that to write a paper, to share it with other people. And I can even take your snippets from another collection and combine them. So we have a way to do a kind of distributed work where different people are reading different documents and then combining the results to create what we call a knowledge trail, which is a preferred pathway through a collection of documents. So that's the story very concisely. And there's all kinds of bells and whistles and features built into the system to facilitate that process. You import documents, you can share the documents with other people, you can make links between highlights. You can say this thing way over here is related to this thing over here. And finally, we're working with some AI companies to integrate HyLighter with NLP, natural language processing products, and semantic graphing products. And what those people are seeing in us is a bridge between just plain folks and machine intelligence. Because now you can pass data between the machines and HyLighter. Machines get smarter in figuring out what people want to know more about, and people get smarter because the machines are more attuned to what they want to explore and inquire about.
Gotcha.
So that's
okay.
it.
So is this like a software? Is it like its own program, or is it a function of something else?
No, it's a web-based application that we built from scratch with, there's components that we bring, but you import the documents and you're in the HyLighter environment.
So give me like a real
working on this.
life example of how I would use it. Yeah, because I know you meant, give me like a real life example.
Okay, so there's, there are basically 1,000 ways to use this, and I'll give you 2 or 3 right off. Okay, so you're the vice president of Wells Fargo, and a company comes to you and says, we want $100 million to build a solar panel factory. And you say, okay, fine. And you get your group of 5 analysts or 10 analysts, and they go through research articles, emails, reports, all kinds of communications, and they work that data, and then they come back to you with a 5-page report. And you're supposed to figure out, do I do it or not? Do I loan them the money? And we've talked to some of these executives, and what they say is, I don't know. I didn't do the work that the analysts have done. I'm relying on this very, summary. And so I have to depend on my intuition. I'm very uncomfortable with that. And what HyLighter can do is you have the analyst produce a knowledge trail, a preferred pathway through those 300 or 400 documents that maybe is made up of 100, 125 little snippets arranged in a narrative structure. And now the executive can very rapidly review all of that content that the analyst spent hours reviewing, but he can get through very quickly, right? So that's one use case. Several others in education. The 21st century is demanding that people be creative and innovative, and schools are not preparing students for this kind of multi-document sense making. The research is there in spades. And so HyLighter, I already have a lot of faculty using HyLighter with their students. And this mashup feature that I described is relatively new. So people are just starting to use it, but there's a lot of excitement because people immediately recognize, oh, this is a big pain point, and here's finally a tool that addresses it, right? And then, another one is for tacit knowledge management. So you have all these people retiring. So what you do is you have them go through the manuals and all of the collateral of the organization and create knowledge trails on different subjects that are then available in a library to other people. Hey, here's what these things say, but just follow my trail and you'll have a very, reliable way of addressing a certain problem or procedure and so on.
Yeah, cool. So
that makes sense.
So where are you at with everything right now? What's the current situation?
Okay, so we've been at this a long time. I had a false start, and you maybe have heard stories where we offshored our programming, and we ended up with something that was kind of spaghetti. So it worked, but you couldn't build on it. So we had to do a restart, and this has now taken us 3 years, and we've had about $2.5 million in funding. And what I just described to you in terms of the process, on the surface, it looks simple. It's actually a very intuitive product to use because everybody's familiar with highlighting and writing in the margins, right? So this is just but the actual under the hood stuff is incredibly complicated. You would not believe how many interactions and things. Well, we have suffered through a very long development process, and we are about 3 weeks away from having
Right.
what I call minimal wonderful product, something that we can put out, puff our checks out, and say, hey, this thing is fantastic, give it a try. And we probably will have a
Okay,
commercial
so
release
basically,
in February.
you could load a
Things go
document
well.
like a Microsoft Word, an Excel, or a PDF, or
Right.
whatever in there. Um, I mean, could this be just a feature of Microsoft Word and all that, or it needs to be its own program?
Well, so okay, so you think about Microsoft Word and track changes. That is for working on a single document
Sure.
to collect
Right.
what people are thinking in terms of revisions. This is about,
Documents, right.
I've got 100, 1,000, 10,000 documents. What's going on here that I can use and turn into actionable knowledge, right? So this is about how do you turn information into usable knowledge, which is really the whole problem of information overload. That's what we're addressing. Now, we have a component coming we have a bulk upload, but it's somewhat limited in terms of file size. And the next thing we're working on in about 3 weeks, you'll be able to pull in almost any size document, 50, 60 megabytes, and you'll be able to line up 500 documents and import them.
So let me ask you, as you're
in a queue.
highlighting, does your system just bring all the highlighted materials to one document, or does it actually like use AI to report and to create synopsis and overviews of what you've highlighted?
Yeah, so each document we refer to as a session, right? And you can have, we've done sessions with 100 people. We have a patented color coding thing. It's just 3 colors. I won't go into that, but so you're having these conversations that are on top of each document, right? And you can create a mashup of just the conversation. You can say, copy all of this to the mashup, and you can export that. And so you have sort of everything there. Now, you actually raised an interesting point. We have a tech partner who does summarization, machine summarization. We just haven't implemented that yet. We have another tech partner that does natural language processing. So they can go in and actually, what we've done a pilot of this where the machine goes in and looks at, let's say I've got 100 documents. The machine will identify all of the terms that I'm interested in, people, places, things, concepts. And then we take that machine analytics and convert it into machine highlights by pulling the documents into HyLighter as high fidelity. If it's PDF, it's a high fidelity copy as HTML, and we convert the machine analytics into what we call machine highlights, as if the machine had a gray highlighting pen and went through those 100 documents in a matter of seconds and pointed at all of the entities, all of the concepts and ideas and things that you might be interested in, and then you pull a subset of those into the mashup, and then you can rapidly review what's of interest to me that the machine found, because the machine doesn't know, can't really figure out, well, what are you really interested in? But here's all the things that you might be interested in. And with the mashup, you can rapidly identify, oh, thank you, machine, for helping as an assistant. Now I've got the good stuff. And then I feed that back to the machine. The machine learns from my processing what's of interest to me. And the whole system gets smarter over time. So this is kind of abstract to do without showing you,
who's your
the actual product.
like target audience? Like, if you go and launch it right now, who are you going after?
Yeah, so that's a problem because I have we're setting up our CRM right now, and I have 90 pages of contacts, opportunities in probably 20 different categories, right? So I've had conversations with Accenture consultant who said all these international companies are struggling to do collaboration, right? You think, well, you've got Word. Word has nothing to do with multi-document sense making. We've got Google Docs. Google Docs has nothing to do with multi-document sense making. It's a completely different problem, right? And we have really the first viable solution to that problem. So general business collaboration
Let me ask, let me
for
ask,
people at
let
a
me ask you
distance
something.
around the
Give me
planet,
another
right?
example
Is one. Yeah.
that's more geared towards me, right? Not education, not like a Fortune, 100 company. That's more geared towards me, small
Right.
business. Um, you know, I don't know, just like more. I don't know if you know what we do and how and all that, but it's more geared towards like the entrepreneur, small business owner.
Yeah. So okay, we have. I'm not sure if this will fit exactly, but let's say you want to do research on what's your competition up to, right? So you could collect a bunch of stuff on competing products and create a knowledge trail that you could share with other people, or you could create as a team that jumps around and says, look, here's 10 things on this topic from 10 different sources, and I've got them all next to each other. So I can look at them and say, here's what everybody else is saying. Here's what I already know. Here's my conclusion. We used HyLighter to do a pricing process. We went out, looked at a whole bunch of literature on how do you price for SaaS model, how do you price for products, and created a knowledge trail. And the cool thing is, I couldn't get all of my people to read these 30 documents. Only 2 or 3 of us did. So then we produced the knowledge trail, and then everybody was able to happily go through the knowledge trail and give their input on what they thought without having to read the 30 documents. So you can imagine another one is a guy that has a maintenance company. He's got all these manuals and for all these different buildings and all this stuff that he has to do. So he's looking at HyLighter. Oh, I could have my expert guys create knowledge trails for different requirements. And then when somebody has to do something, they just look and say, okay, this comes first, second, third, right? So we haven't even really begun to explore all of the possibilities, because this is like when people came out with a word processor, WYSIWYG word processor, Mac, and it changed how people type documents, right? This HyLighter is something that is going to change how people do sense making when they're facing lots of documents and they have to pull the information together to take that information and turn it into usable knowledge.
So where'd you raise your $2 million from? Okay.
All angel investors, some family and friends, but mostly angel investors. A lot of people that are tech people themselves,
Gotcha.
or business development.
Are you doing an official capital raise right now, or?
So I won't go into the gory details, but right now we are selling 1.5% of the company at a $3 million valuation for non-dilutable units.
So you're looking for 45,000.
So we made a decision at a certain point. Yeah.
What do you need 45 grand for?
Yeah, that's it. This is going to extend the runway for another 4 months. We have a very low burn rate right now, so that we can acquire our first strategic partner, which we're looking for $1 million investment from a strategic partner. We're in conversations with a couple of major companies.
You say you want to acquire a company?
Excuse me? No, we're looking for a strategic partner who will say, oh, for $1 million, will you integrate HyLighter into our product so that we can sell to new markets or upsell to our current customers?
Get that. That's smart. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So let me ask you, Brian, real quick, if I can. Kevin said that you have more of a background, that he's more of a, product guy, consumer product stuff. And what is your background in? Are you into the high tech stuff at all?
We do a lot of products. So that's a good part of what we do. Products, we do just general kind of education and consulting for small business owners and entrepreneurs. And then we do investments. So the investment side of our business is it's everything. Like we don't have a specific focus. We've gotten involved in a variety of different deals, like from medical devices to deals to, to brick and mortar businesses to every, like literally like everything, right?
Yeah.
So, am I like a tech guy? Like no, I wouldn't necessarily consider myself that. We're
Right.
we're product marketers and distributors. And I mean, directors, we're kind of marketers at first, and then kind of the other side of their business just allows us to be involved and have our nose in a lot of different types of companies and industries. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like the tech expert, quite honestly.
Well, so it might be interesting if we, this is just as far as the next step, is to set up a online meeting
I
where
need to see
I
it.
show
I
you
need
the
to see it,
product
right?
and we
Because
just
I'm just
brainstorm on how you,
honestly, I'm just a little confused
yeah,
because, like, we
yeah,
went, however long we've been talking right now, and I still think that you didn't even like,
yeah,
explain it to its best of its ability, right? For kind of the layman's terms, also
mm-hmm.
of how, how the general population could use this. Sure, like I get if you're a big corporation, you're looking through thousands of agreements and thousands of documents and this and that, but like I don't do that. I was just with like, a couple things. Like one, like we're writing a new book right now, and it's hundreds of pages, and we're going through and we're making changes. We're all commenting that like, could probably be used for something like that. Like listen, I was just literally sitting with someone on our team and going through like different. I don't know if it works on pictures also, if it's actually like a photo thing. Going through different pictures and videos and things that we could pull out. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, like we. So I wonder how it could be used for the general person out there.
So let me just jump in and just, yeah. So let me say this, that we have all this information available at your fingertips on the internet, World Wide Web, right? So anybody that has something they're curious about, you want to learn more about, you're going to run into this problem of, I read something over here, but I can't remember what it was, and I read something over here. And this is a tool to extend your memory, an external memory, both for individuals and for teams of people, so that you can turn that information into usable knowledge. So the use cases are so many that that's part of the problem. Is like, where do we focus, right? And
does it have to be a document, or can you use your program just browsing a website?
Yeah. Okay. So two things. Number one is, that's why we're trying to get that first strategic partner, so we hire more engineers to finish. Are you familiar with Pocket? So what Pocket does, it's a bookmarking software, right? So what it does is it takes a web page and it converts it into a simply formatted version.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's what we would do with web pages. We haven't got that right now. As far as
first,
you want to just pull it in so you have it and it doesn't disappear. As far as we have done images in the past, and it's very cool. We did a project on crime scene analysis, really cool stuff. But we took that out because we didn't like the way it was implemented. It was implemented with the offshore guys. So that's where we need more money to be able to, fill out the potential of this thing.
I'd love to go through with you. You show it to me. It sounds interesting, and you're really not looking for a lot of money. And I mean, 1.5% non-dilutable is pretty intriguing. Who hooked you up on here? Deanne did? Okay.
Yeah. And by the way, so I have a online meeting software. I could send you an invite, or if you guys have, either way.
Brian@kevinharrington.tv. BRIAN.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good. Yeah. So as far as scheduling, I'll just I'll send you the email and you tell me what's convenient. Okay. So sounds good. All right. Well, stay warm up there. It's going to be 75 here. So Tallahassee. But I'm from New England. I live up in, we try and get up to Gloucester, Mass.
Just makes our summers that much more better. As is going through this cold, and then the summers are just
I
magical.
appreciate
So,
That's true.
yeah.
I
All right,
love
man.
it up
Thank you so
north.
much, David. Good talking to you. Yep. Likewise. Bye-bye.
All right, man. It was a pleasure. Take care.